A fist hammered against a wooden door. 3 times. Then harder, like someone trying to break it down. The man inside reached under his pillow before his feet hit the floor. Another pounding came. Something heavy slammed against the frame. A woman's voice choked, pleading. Please. Please open it. He crossed the room in 4 steps. His hand wrapped around the knob. He listened. Footsteps outside. Tires on gravel. A second voice, lower, male, cursing. He pulled the door inward 6 inches. A face appeared in the gap, pale and streaked with tears. Behind her in the dark, 2 shapes moving. The man was Daniel Reyes, 22 years out of the Marines, and he had not slept through a quiet night since. Hide my sister, she whispered. What Daniel did in the next 90 seconds, nobody on that block has spoken of since. Stay with me on this one. Daniel pulled both women through the door and slammed it shut. He turned the deadbolt. Then the second lock. Then the chain. The whole thing took 2 seconds. He didn't say anything yet. He moved. He pulled the curtain back an inch and looked at the road. A black SUV sat at the end of his driveway with its lights off. 2 men stood beside it. They weren't trying to hide. That was the part that bothered him most. He let the curtain fall. The younger of the 2 women, the one who had not spoken yet, slid down the wall and folded into a ball. Blood ran from her temple in a thin line. She wasn't crying anymore. She was past that. She was just shaking. Renata, Daniel said. The older one looked up. Her eyes were red. Her hands were bleeding too, but only a little, like she had run through brush. How long have they been behind you? I don't know, she said. Maybe 20 minutes. Maybe less. We came through the field. From your house. From my house. Daniel had known Renata Cruz for 3 years. She lived in a small white house half a mile down the road. She made the best damn arroz con pollo he had ever eaten, and she always brought him a bowl on Sundays. He had never met her sister before tonight. This is Maya, Renata said. She's 19. She came home for the weekend. From where? Chilane. She's at Chilane. Daniel knelt down beside the girl. He turned her chin toward the lamp. The cut on her temple wasn't deep, but it was raw, like she had been thrown into something. He pulled a clean towel from the linen closet and pressed it against the wound. Hold this here, he said. She did with both hands. Daniel had been out of the Marines for 22 years. He had served 4 tours, 3 of them in places nobody talked about anymore. He had come home, married, divorced, remarried, divorced again. He had built this small house with his own 2 hands on 6 acres of pine and red dirt. He lived alone. He went to the VA twice a month for back pain, and once a year for a checkup he didn't fully trust. He believed he had earned the right to be tired. But you don't ever fully retire from the kind of work he had done. Some part of him had been listening for that knock for 2 decades. He picked up his phone and looked at the screen. No missed calls. No alerts. The world outside this room had no idea what was happening inside it. Tell me, he said to Renata. She started to cry then, a quiet, bitten-off cry that came from her chest and not her face. She pulled it together fast. 3 nights ago, she said. Maya was working. She tends bar at a place near the campus. Okay. She saw something. In the parking lot. 2 men. One of them shot the other. Just shot him and walked away. She called the police. She tried. The shooter saw her. She ran. She didn't go home. She came to me. Why didn't you call me sooner? I didn't know they would find us, Daniel. I didn't know who they were. We were going to the FBI in the morning. We were just going to wait it out. Daniel walked to the kitchen. He pulled open the drawer beside the sink. Underneath the silverware tray, taped to the back, was a small handgun he had not touched in 11 months. He checked the chamber. He checked the magazine. He set it on the counter. Then he walked back to the front room. Maya hadn't moved. Her hand was still pressed to her temple. The towel had a small red spot on it. On her wrist, a thin silver bracelet hung loose, the clasp broken. There was a smear of someone else's blood on it. Daniel noted that and said nothing. "Listen to me," he said to both of them. "Whoever those men out there are, they're not amateurs. They didn't park where they parked by accident. They want me to see them. They want me to know they're there. That tells me they want to talk before they do anything." "Talk?" Renata whispered. "Yes." The phone on the counter rang. It was a number Daniel did not recognize. He let it ring twice. Then he picked it up. The voice on the line was calm. Not angry. Not threatening. Just calm. That was worse. "Mr. Reyes," the voice said. "Daniel, I know who you are. I know what you did in Mosul. I know about the second tour in particular." Daniel said nothing. "I'm going to make this simple for both of us. The girl in your house, Maya Cruz. Send her out the front door. Walk her down the driveway. Hand her over. We leave. You go back to bed. Nobody at the VA ever has to know we spoke. And if I don't..." The voice paused. Just for a moment. Long enough. "Then in about 45 minutes, 3 federal warrants are going to be filed against you. Unauthorized possession of classified material. Assault on a federal officer. Tampering with witness testimony. None of it real. All of it filed. By morning, your name is on every news ticker from here to Atlanta. Your VA benefits gone. Your house under federal lien. You spend the next 8 years in a basement courtroom trying to clear yourself. We have that reach, Daniel. We can do that with a phone call. Who are you?" "Someone who used to know your last commanding officer. Send the girl out." Daniel hung up. He pulled the cord out of the wall. He took his cell phone, turned it off, pulled the battery, set both pieces on the table. Then he walked to the breaker box in the hallway and flipped every switch. The whole house went dark. Renata gasped. Maya did not. "Listen to me," Daniel said in the dark. "We have maybe 10 minutes before they decide I'm not coming out. After that, they'll do something to make me come out." "Maya, talk fast. What did you actually see?" Maya's voice came out of the dark, thinner than before but steadier. "It was Friday. Around 2 in the morning. I was closing the bar. I went out back to dump the trash." "Go on." "There were 2 cars in the back lot. I had seen them earlier. Black, both of them. Government plates." "What kind of government plates?" "I don't know. Just official looking. Federal." Daniel let that sit for a moment. "Okay. Keep going." "There were 3 men. 2 of them had a third man on his knees between them. They were arguing. The man on his knees was crying. He was saying he hadn't told anyone anything. One of the standing men shot him. In the head. Then the other one walked over to the body and went through the pockets. He took a phone. He threw it on the ground and stomped it. Then he walked over to a metal trash can and dropped it in there. And you saw this from where?" "From the back door of the bar. I had cracked it open to drag the bag out. I was in the dark. They were in the light. They saw you. The second one did. He looked right at me. I closed the door. I locked it. I went out the front. I drove to my sister's house. I didn't go home. I didn't go to my apartment. I called the campus police, and they said come in tomorrow and file a report. So I waited. Maya. Yes. The phone they stomped on. Did you go back for it? The dark was quiet for a moment. Yes. When? Saturday morning. Before the bar opened. I got it out of the trash. Where is it now? In my car. In the trunk. Behind the spare tire. My car is parked at Renata's. Daniel leaned against the wall. You took evidence from a federal crime scene and put it in your trunk. I didn't know they were federal. I thought they were criminals. Maya. Some federal people are criminals. That is the part you don't know yet. He stood there for 10 seconds thinking. Renata was breathing hard. Maya was not. All right, Daniel said. I'm going to your sister's house. I'm going to get the phone. You two are staying here. I'm going to give you the keys to my truck. If anything happens, if anyone comes through that door who isn't me, you drive south on the back road. You don't stop until you cross into Mississippi. You go to a sheriff's station. You don't go to the FBI. You don't go to anyone federal. Sheriff's station. Call this number on a payphone and ask for Tomas. He wrote a number down on a notepad, tore the page off, handed it to Renata. Why a sheriff? Renata asked. Because they're not in this. Whatever this is. He picked up his handgun. He pulled on his jacket. He went out the back door into the trees and circled the house wide. He moved like a man who had not forgotten anything. The SUV was still at the end of the driveway. The two men beside it were still standing there. They were facing the house. They had not moved. Daniel cut south through the pines. He came out at Renata's white house from the back. The street was empty. Maya's small blue Honda sat in the driveway. He approached low, moving through the side hedge. He opened the trunk, lifted the spare, took a small object wrapped in a sock, closed the trunk silently, went back the way he came. When he reached his own house, the back door was still locked. He knocked twice, paused, knocked once. Renata opened it. Inside, the house was still dark. Daniel set the wrapped phone on the kitchen table. He pulled the sock off. The screen was cracked, but the body of the phone was intact. It was a burner. Cheap. Prepaid. Not a federal phone at all. He looked at Maya. She looked back. Whoever's outside, he said quietly, this isn't theirs. This is the dead man's. They want this back because of what's on it. He set the phone down. He walked to the sink. He turned on the tap. He filled a glass with water. He took a long, slow drink. He set the glass down on the counter. He looked at the clock on the stove. 3:18 in the morning. In the morning, he said, we drive to the sheriff's station in Hazlehurst. We hand them this phone. We give them Maya's statement. By noon, this is somebody else's problem. Renata leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Maya finally sat down on the kitchen floor. She pulled her knees to her chest. She let out a breath that sounded like it had been stuck in her lungs for 3 days. The house was quiet. Outside, the pines moved in the wind. The SUV was still there, but it had not moved either. Daniel checked the deadbolt. He checked the back door. He sat down at the kitchen table with the gun beside him and put his hands flat on the wood. For the first time since the knock had come, the night felt survivable. Then a phone buzzed. Not the one on the table. Not Daniel's cell, which was still in 2 pieces beside the sink. A different sound, deeper, coming from the hallway closet. Daniel stood up so fast the chair tipped behind him. He walked to the closet. He opened it. On the top shelf, behind a stack of old VA letters, an old cheap phone he had not turned on in 3 years was lit up green. The battery he had thought was dead was glowing. A text on the screen. "We see your kitchen light. Come outside or we burn it down with all 3 of you inside." Daniel stood very still for a long moment. Then he picked up the burner and looked at the number it had come from. He knew the number. He closed his eyes. That phone in his closet had been a unit phone. 11 years ago. A piece of equipment he had been told to keep in case of emergencies long after he had retired. He had forgotten it existed. The number on the screen was not from a stranger. The number on the screen was from his own old chain of command. This wasn't street people. This wasn't local. This was someone who had been on his side once. Someone who knew where he lived. Someone who knew what was inside his closet. He turned around. "Get up," he said. "Both of you. Now." Quietly. Renata was already up. Maya was struggling to stand. Daniel grabbed her elbow and lifted her like she weighed nothing. "What's happening?" Renata whispered. "The men outside aren't strangers. Someone I served with sent them. That changes everything." "Why?" "Because they know my house. They know the layout. They know what I'd do. We have to leave by a way they wouldn't expect." He took the dead man's phone off the table and slipped it into his pocket. He swapped the magazine in his handgun for a fresh one. Then he opened the burner and dialed a number he had not called in 9 years. It rang once. "This better be very good or very bad," a voice answered. "Tamaz." "It's Ray's." A long pause. "Daniel." "Where are you?" "My house. I've got 2 civilians with me. 3 men outside. They want a girl who saw a federal agent kill someone. They have my old unit phone number. The one from after Karbala." Tamaz breathed out hard. "Daniel, listen to me. That signal pattern. That phone tree. You know who that points to. Tell me anyway." "It points to Jensen." Daniel did not say anything. He just stood there in the dark kitchen, looking at the back door. "Get out of the house," Tamaz said. "Right now. Don't go to the cops. Don't go to the highway. You have a cabin. I have a cabin. Go to the cabin. I'm 2 hours away. I'll be there." Daniel hung up. He went to the back porch. He flipped one switch. The porch lights came on, bright and yellow. He flipped another. The kitchen radio came on, low, a country station. He turned the volume up. He closed the curtain. From the road, the house would look fully awake. He led the sisters to the side window of the bedroom. He opened it slow. He helped Maya through first. Then Renata. Then he climbed out himself and pulled the window shut behind him. They moved through the backyard low and fast. Through the chicken wire fence. Into the pines. Daniel had cleared this trail with his own machete 6 years ago. He could walk it in the dark with his eyes closed. He had Renata grip the back of his jacket. He had Maya grip Renata's. They moved as one through the trees. A mile in, they came to the cabin. It wasn't much. 4 walls. A wood stove. A cot. A trunk full of things Daniel did not talk about. He unlocked it. He pulled the sisters inside. He closed the door behind them. Then they heard it. 2 cracks far back through the trees. Gunshots. Then a third. Then silence. Then sirens far off coming toward the road. Renata was shaking now. Maya was holding her hand. "Are we safe?" Renata whispered. "For 10 minutes," Daniel said. "Maybe 20. Tamaz will find us. He sat down with his back against the cabin door. He laid the handgun across his knee. He had walked them out. He had pulled them out of a house that was almost certainly already on fire and into a cabin nobody knew about. The first part of this was over. If you're still with me on this one, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. It is the only way more stories like Daniel's keep finding you. Then come right back, because the next part is where everything turned. Daniel listened to the woods. The sirens grew louder, then faded. The pines were quiet. He set his watch alarm for 2 hours. 2 hours later, headlights swept the trees. A vehicle pulled up at the dirt road end. Not Daniel's truck.